I'm walking in, this family comes walking out, and then it clicks. Boom. I was like, oh shit, that's Andy Elliott. And at that moment, I had that like reality check. I was like, if you don't say something right now, you're never going to get this opportunity. I turn around, I'm like, Elliott? He spins back around and gives me like the look, like, yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, that's him. I walk over to him and I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Christopher Reeves. We work with men on helping them perform and excel to the next level. And he's like, I gave him my business card and he looks at it and he's like, we need to set up a meeting. I was like, all right. Well, we go in, we meet his team. He's busy in a meeting. I think he was doing a podcast actually.
Okay.
And at that time, Sean Pollard was his right-hand man and he showed us around. And he introduced us to his team. He told us about their values. And then we see them give a watch out to one of their members. And I see the team camaraderie. So I was like, all right, cool. This is something that I want. I want to be around people like this, like we had talked about. And then Andy comes out and we shake hands. We kind of get a better introduction. And that dude ends up calling me out on everything. He didn't even know me. And he was like, you need to do more. In fact, I believe you're failing your family right now. And I was like, I am.
Damn.
I'm not doing everything that I'm capable of doing.
Yeah.
And he challenged me to do more. And he challenged her to do more. And through the whole process of him kind of calling us out, it was still in a very compassionate and loving way, but very strong, held accountable. We left that meeting feeling a different way about ourselves.
Wow.
Which actually enabled me to go out and push harder.
Okay.
That fire lit up inside of me to a way where I couldn't stand being the person that I was in that moment. Which ended up leading me to a client that would then take me into a whole new space in my life.
Wow.
Which is part of the reason why we are here now, because I chose to do more.
But welcome to the show, bro. I'm super excited to have you on, and I appreciate where we at. Let's give the listeners and viewers a little context here, man. So it's Valentine's Day. It's February 14th. It's a nice 67 degrees. It was a little raining over here. Was it raining for you?
No, it wasn't.
No. Over here is little showers this morning. So I'm trying to see if we can have showers go up north and be able to go enjoy the snow.
That would be probably beneficial for the people that like to go sledding.
Yes.
We actually ran away from the snow and the ice and
Really?
all of those things. Yeah, absolutely. Originally we're from Kansas.
Ah, really? That's awesome. Okay. How long you been out in Arizona for?
About 9 years now.
9 years? Okay, yeah, we're pushing 5 years. 5 years this summer, and it's been a blessing. I like it. It's definitely interesting. I feel like I never thought about Arizona until being here from the perspective of like when it's hot, and when it's cold, but it's dry.
Yes.
That's the one thing. It's like I'm lathering up and shit. I got the humidifiers. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting the humidifiers on to try to get a little bit more moisture going on here. You know, so
I know the first time that when I just first moved here, and it was in like I think it was like May around that time, and it was kind of colder. No, not May. It was about this time actually, and it was cold.
Okay.
Right? 60 degrees cold, right?
Yeah.
And I'm from Kansas, and I'm like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why are people in hoodies? Like, this is perfect weather. Like, why?
Yeah.
What are you doing? You guys are crazy.
Yeah.
Now, after being acclimatized to this weather, it's like, whoa, 60 degrees. I'm freezing.
Dude,
freezing.
Me too. My wife as well. She was it was like 50 or 55 or something like that. We're going to the gym in the morning. We go to the gym on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays together. And she's like, I'm freezing. Are you done? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, honey, it's like almost 60 degrees.
Right? Like, calm yourself.
Yeah, calm yourself, man. Calm yourself. But we got Chris in the studio today, and we got your partner behind the scenes over here, huh? She's over here.
Yeah, my lovely wife.
Lovely wife.
We actually do pretty much everything together, which I have found is not necessarily a normal occurrence
It's not.
in the business space, in the
Mm-hmm.
networking space, in any of it. So we're kind of an anomaly. When we show up to events, I'm like, hey, you get a full package here.
I love that, dude. I
And
love that.
we have a good way of checking each other and having this like, hey, what did you think about this? How did you think
Mm-hmm.
about this person? So I get more insight than just the one individual.
Ooh, I like that. I don't think, for anyone out there viewing and listening, I don't think that you like, I'll give you an example. So I went to an event, and eventually we'll have this individual on. I went to Andy Elliott's event, right?
Yeah.
And so I went to his event and you come home, anyone can relate to this. You come home, you're excited, right?
Hmm.
You're like, honey, I mean, I went to this event, it was amazing. And you try to explain, but you really can't explain until they're there. So the
Yes.
fact that you're bringing her with you is awesome because
Right.
then it's just like you could be driving back and
Hmm.
go back and forth off of like the vibe, what'd you
Hmm.
learn, what was your takeaway. Dude, kudos to you, bro. That's
Well, I
that's a
got a
liftoff moment right there, bro. Let's go.
hey.
Let's go.
I got an interesting Andy Elliott story actually.
What you got, bro?
He actually kind of put a fire underneath us.
Really?
All right, so we'll just go back in time a little bit, and so she and I were going to a TJ Maxx over in Scottsdale. I
Okay.
had heard that they got good deals on good clothes, and I help men find clothes to help them promote the message that they want to send.
I love
And
it.
I try to find ways to keep it affordable for men so they don't have to necessarily burn a bunch of money on
Let's
clothing.
go.
Most guys don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the value of high quality clothing,
Yeah.
apparel, whatever.
Me too.
But for the majority of men, it's kind of a secondary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we find those ways. Well, we had gotten to this TJ Maxx in Scottsdale, and we sat in there. And before we got out of the car, we had been talking about what do we need to do to go to the next level in our lives. And what we came to the conclusion of was we need to be around more people doing the things that we want to be doing that share the same morals and values that we have.
Amen.
And once we came to that conclusion, we shook on it and we agreed on it and we got out of the car. Boom. Like, I don't know if you've ever had those like moments where the like goosebumps go up your arms, you get that tingling feeling.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I consider God is now verifying what I is that I want to accomplish, or whatever
Ooh,
message, whatever something that's happening. Like, that's my
I like
sign
that.
from God, and I need to pay attention and I need to go with it. Like
Yes.
right now, I just got one.
Let's go, bro.
All right, so we get out of the car. We're starting to walk in to this TJ Maxx, and I'm walking in. This family comes walking out. The dad is in really good shape. The wife, good shape. The kids are happy.
Mm.
And I'm like, this guy's buff. We do the buff guy stare down. We give each other the head nod. We're like, all right.
Let's go.
And then it clicks. Boom. I was like, oh shit, that's Andy Elliott. I had just seen his content recently online, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. I loved what he was saying about his wife and how she held him accountable, how she was the one that really drove him into becoming a better man. And I
Oh,
was like, oh, fuck. I need to say something. And at
yeah.
that moment, I had that like reality check. I was like, if you don't say something right now, you're never going to get this opportunity. God had just spoken to you. You just made the agreement. Are you going to rise to the occasion?
Let's go.
All right. I turn around. I'm like, Elliot. He spins back around and gives me like the look, like, yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, that's him. I
Let's
walk
go.
over to him and I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Christopher Reeves. We work with men on helping them perform and excel to the next level. And he's like, I gave him my business card and he looks at it and he's like, we need to set up a meeting. I was like, all right. He's like, I need you to come out to the Lion's Den and meet with me. I was like, fair enough.
I love it.
And I'm still like, what's going on right now?
It's
You
really
know,
happening?
absolutely. And this is before he really, really took off. I mean, he was still already a big thing, but
Yeah, yeah.
we go out there on a Tuesday and it's out in Fountain Hills. And we live on the west side. We live over off of the 303.
Okay.
And we go out there and it's like a drive. And then we get into Fountain Hills and I'm seeing all these like luxury cars, luxury everything. And I'm like, whoa, like this is like
Dope,
that
bro.
next level. Well, we go in, we meet his team. He's busy in a meeting. I think he was doing a podcast actually.
Okay.
And at that time, Sean Pollard was his right hand man, and he showed us around. And he introduced us to his team. He told us about their values. Like
Love it.
one of the things that they had said, they're like, if you cheat on your spouse, you're out. I was like, all right, check mark. That's like a value system thing that
Yeah.
I share. Like my wife and I in July will be married 15 years.
Wow, congratulations. That's a hey, lift off right there moment right there. I love that.
Hey,
Let's go.
that's a Valentine's special right there, you know?
Hell yeah.
But so I'm like, all right, cool. And then we see them give a watch out to one of their members.
Mm,
And I see the team camaraderie. And I
yeah.
teach a lot in leadership and what leadership looks like and how we interact with each other
Yeah.
and what are we doing to like lift up each other, not do the whole crabs in the bucket thing where someone's starting to do well and we start to get insecure and we start grabbing them and pulling them back down because that makes us feel comfortable.
Yes.
So I was like, all right, cool. This is something that I want. I want to be around people like this, like we had talked about.
Mm,
And then Andy comes out and we shake hands, we kind of get a better introduction, and that dude ends up calling me out on everything. He
mm.
didn't even know me. And he was like, "You need to do more. In fact, I believe you're failing your family right now." And I was like, "I am. I'm
Damn.
not doing everything that I'm capable of doing."
Yeah. Yeah.
And he challenged me to do more, and he challenged her to do more. And through the whole process of him kind of calling us out, it was still in a very compassionate and loving way, but very
Mm-hmm.
strong, held accountable.
Mm.
We left that meeting feeling a different way about ourselves,
Wow.
which actually enabled me to go out and push harder.
Okay.
That fire lit up inside of me to a way where I couldn't stand being the person that I was in that moment,
Mm.
which ended up leading me to a client that would then take me into a whole new space in my life,
Wow.
which is part of the reason why we are here now, because I chose to do more. I chose to get outside of the person that I was limiting myself to be, challenge myself to go out and be someone that I've always dreamed of being.
Wow.
And so, since the Andy Elliott experience, now I speak on stages. I've written my first book. We're working on the
Let's go.
second book. Like, we host events. We're partnering with people around the community now and helping inspire change and the idea of what is possible. What can I do versus what is limiting me?
Amen. Wow, dude, that's a liftoff experience right there. And congratulations, man. That's awesome that one thing led to the next that led to that story. And then just to think about the whole thought process that, him even coming up right in the conversation, just in general, that was organic, and you're here and that was a catalyst to get to the next level. And congratulations to do that. And what was like when you first saw, even before Andy and all that type of stuff, like we talked a little bit before we got on air about working out. And my wife, you just met her and my daughter, and my wife doing figure competitions or bikini. And then you told me you went through a heart attack, a massive heart attack, because of the pressure you put on yourself to become this way, or this figure.
And that's the second time. Like, so I've gone through
Really?
this process multiple times, and I just
Wow.
didn't learn my lessons until later. It took
Wow.
I'm that hard, got to run into the wall a few times sort of thing,
Yeah.
right? But yeah, I at one point my dream is always to be a bodybuilder, always.
Okay.
In fact, I got made fun of a lot in my middle school age because I'd walk around with the Flex magazine, and one of he's my basketball coach. His name was Ray Small.
Okay.
Guy was actually like 6'6", 6'7",
Not small.
not small at all. He's like the quintessential Little John, right?
Yeah.
Of Robin Hood.
Let's
He
go.
grabs this magazine and he holds it up in front of everybody and proceeds to demean me and call me gay.
Wow. What?
And I mean, at that time period, we don't necessarily know the implications that our influence, especially as a coach or a leader, can potentially have on the outcome of a child,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's a whole other story that is very implicated into the process in which I coach and develop and teach leadership.
Okay.
But going back to that, it drove me into wanting to be that bodybuilder, which actually became very obsessive. I
Interesting.
became fanatical about it.
Wow.
Now, I still played basketball at that time, and it wasn't necessarily a super realistic goal for me to become a professional bodybuilder. I'm from a little town in Kansas. It's Dodge City, Kansas. If you ever heard of like Boot Hill and Wyatt Earp and Gunsmoke, that sort of thing, that's where I'm from. There's one high school. The next closest
Wow.
town is an hour away.
Wow.
There's like it's like 20,000 people at most.
Wow.
You know, so like possibilities don't necessarily exist, or at least in the way that they do in a city like Phoenix. So I go on this like journey of like struggling with who I am, what my identity actually looks like. I had drug problems as a young kid up until I got locked up, to the point where I had to like realize like the people that I was surrounding myself with weren't leading me to a place that would be frugal, or not necessarily frugal, but like it would develop anything that was actual substance, right? So in this process now, we go back, I get out, we get married, and I had
How
been
did you guys meet?
she actually worked at GNC. I ended up going to college to become a personal trainer. My dad was very overweight.
Okay. Okay.
Fitness is what saved my life. It gave me the structure as to what to build and to develop on.
Okay. Okay.
But in the short, I get fanatical about my fitness because it's what gives me value. I go to school to become a personal trainer. I saved my dad with his diabetes. But it
Wow.
becomes my whole identity. We get married. We end up moving to the big city in Kansas, which is Wichita, Kansas.
Okay.
All right. There, I am about 280 pounds at this point,
Wow.
with like 10% body fat. I was a freak.
Wow.
And I take on a management role for Walmart.
Okay.
All right. Well, 6 years later, I leave Walmart. I'm 180 pounds. And it's not a healthy 180 pounds. It's the absolute opposite. I'm skinny fat. I'm not taking care of my health. I'm not taking care of my family. I'm not doing the things that I need to be doing to supply a life for anyone, especially the longevity of myself. Well, push comes to shove. What ends up bringing us to Phoenix is I'm a part of 150 stores at Walmart that get shut down. All right.
Wow.
She works for Cox Communications at the time. She gets a promotion. It's in Phoenix, Arizona.
Interesting.
Whoa, right?
Yeah.
And so the store that I worked at was a very violent area. In fact, I had a gun put to my head at one point for asking a guy to move his vehicle away from the red box. They had literally driven up in front of the red box. The girl was leaned outside of it,
Yeah.
getting movies. And I'm like going outside to push in carts so my associates
Yeah.
can put the freight on the shelves and all of that. I'm like, hey, I'm that leader that's going to go do the job to make it easier for my people to succeed. Fair enough. I'm like going out there and I'm like, well, wait a minute. That guy probably shouldn't be parked there. That's just not normal.
Yeah. Hello.
I walk up to the window. I tap on the window, tint it out. Window rolls down. Gun comes to my head and he goes, is your job worth your life, cracker?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, yeah. But is my life worth your life because you're on camera? And there's a police officer on duty right now inside this store. And if you do something right now that you might regret for the rest of your life, you're probably going to get away. But how long will you get away for?
Wow.
And my heart is going a million miles an hour. And I'm like, oh, snaps. If I don't handle this correctly at this exact moment, everything that I've ever dreamed of is now gone.
Wow.
And the guy puts the gun down and I look at him and I was like, hey, bro, there's a parking spot right over there. And I would hate for that officer to come out and see that you're parked right here and then him come up and want to talk to you, because I pretty much can guess that you probably shouldn't have that gun. You probably have something going on that might go further into this investigation.
Ooh.
And he's like, that's a good point. And I walked over in the parking spot. I said, I'll just stand right here. You can park right here. She can get out and finish the red box thing. And we'll just pretend like this never happened.
Wow. Good for you, bro.
Right? I mean, nothing like to test the true character of an individual when they're put under a stress load.
Dude, that's liftoff right there.
That's another one,
Damn.
right? Like,
Wow.
but that's what we do. And it's easy to judge people on the good times because that's what we would hope to see.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not fair to the individual just to judge them on the good times or the bad times. We
Mm.
really need to take a mixture of it and be able to look at what that actually looks like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and to then make the judgment call on who are they, what are they promoting, what are
Mm.
the actions that they're taking.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, all in fair, it would be really fair to say that that guy right there in that moment shouldn't exist in society
Yeah.
because he's willing to make very reckless and poor decisions.
Yeah.
But that also discredits him in the opportunity that maybe that moment right there gave him the wake up call to go out and be somebody that helps promote a community in which we can all thrive in.
Hey, 100%, bro.
You know?
And you were the catalyst.
Absolutely. And we all have that opportunity.
Yes.
And that's where I go into the whole idea of what can I do to create a life and a community in which we can all thrive in.
I love that.
So I go in, I tell my boss, I think I need to go home. She doesn't allow me to go home. There's no one else to replace me. But at that time, I still didn't have self-worth. I had already given up on myself.
Yep.
And, you know, like I was like, all right, I need to stay here for my team. I need to do these things for my team. That's all right. I understand. Got you. I can maintain. I can do this. All right. So that store doesn't exist very long. In fact, they shut that store down. And a year before that, exactly when they shut the store down, I met the president of Walmart.
Wow.
And we walked with him. I was always an overnight manager.
Okay.
And we had ended up touring the store with them because we saw him and his whole team coming in. And one of my peers was like, dude, that's the president of Walmart. We need to go back in there. And I was like, who's that? I didn't know. Like, I just cared about my team. I didn't care about the higher ups because they never really gave 2 cents about who we were and what we did.
Yes.
And in all reality, that's the most common occurrence that I find in every business that I've ever been in, that the higher ups feel like they're kings and queens of the land and they're superior to the individual in a way in which that they actually do a disservice to their own business because they don't care about the example that they're setting for those people.
Amen.
Now, go into it. The year when I've actually met that guy, we walked, we showed him what we were doing for the night crew, how we were uplifting, how we were building, how we're redeveloping, and the things that we were taking, the steps that we were doing in hopes that maybe they might want to implement it and across the board.
Yeah.
And then he asked me, well, what are your goals? I was like, well, I'd like to get promoted. I would like to do something. I don't know what Walmart offers.
Yeah.
All right. I left hopeful. I left great. He gave me this number to his assistant and everything was wonderful, right? Until I came in the next day. I came in that night. I walked in. There was a Subway on the side. It was closed.
Yeah.
And one of the senior leaders was standing there. And he's like, I come in. He's like, hey, Chris, I need you to come in here. In Subway? Yeah, I need you to come in Subway right now. I need you to talk to Brett.
Interesting.
Well, he was a store manager. And the store manager was sitting in the back of Subway, kind of a dim lit light. It was like straight mafioso. And I'm like walking back there and I'm like, dude, like, what's going on? He's like, I need you to sit down. I was like, okay. Like, this isn't going to go good. And still at that point, I was still like that person. I was still insecure.
Yeah.
And he tells me, he's like, you know, you think it's good to talk to people. You think it's good to go promote yourself. You think that all of these things that you're doing is beneficial. And I haven't said anything to you about this. And I've never stopped you from doing your games and promoting your people. However, you just rocked the boat. You just created some waves that brought some unwanted attention.
Hmm.
And I'm like, me telling the president that we're doing great things and how we're doing great things is a problem? He's like, now they're asking why I haven't promoted you yet.
Interesting.
Why I haven't told anybody about you, what you're doing. You just brought unwanted attention to me. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Well, this guy liked to not be at the store. He had been with the company for quite a while, was very good friends with the market manager, and
Mm.
he owned some like horses and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. And
Mm-hmm.
he was not really at the store. He was not
Mm.
really a good manager.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, I got transferred to that store I was telling you about. I got transferred to the 13th and Oliver store where across the street,
Mm.
an officer got hit by a car because people didn't like officers. And this is
Wow.
during the height of Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
And I was like one of the only white managers in this store. Most of my associates walked to that store.
Wow.
And like I think maybe I had two white associates. Everybody else was African American.
Wow.
Now, I don't got a problem with that. I think it's cool. I like diversity. I like the
Mm-hmm.
difference in culture. It
Mm-hmm.
gives us something to talk about. It gives us something to learn.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, it's very hard to deal with. Now, the way I lead, because I lead by example, I'm willing to go do the work that other people aren't wanting to go do to
Mm-hmm.
show
Mm-hmm.
them that I can build rapport with you and you can respect me and you can trust me, that you can lean on me in a time of need.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that I have developed relationships, especially in a business scene, it's not always just about the task and the method and how you do your job and things like that, which the higher ups like to focus on because they can track metrics.
Yeah.
That's easy. Let's look at the KPIs. How are you doing with your performance
Mm-hmm.
indicators? Like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, that's great and all because you're looking at numbers on a sheet, but you don't understand how those numbers may come about.
Yeah.
So I build relationships by finding out the individual,
Mm-hmm.
what makes them smile, what
Mm-hmm.
excites them. And for a lot of these people, no one had ever actually asked them, especially someone that was telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So they would go do things for me
Mm.
that others couldn't get them to do because they didn't take the time. And one of the things that I have found throughout the years is people make movements based off of inconvenience.
Yeah.
If it inconveniences them, you'll see negative reactions most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they're good at sales, they'll see an inconvenience and then they'll utilize it in a way that helps them achieve a goal, right?
Yeah.
But that takes a lot of training and understanding. So these people will go do whatever I asked them. So we end up shutting this store down.
Mm-hmm.
And all of my associates that wanted to stay with the company, I helped them all get promotions.
Wow.
I went to the stores that they would go interview at. I would go speak in their behalf.
Yeah.
I would go do whatever it could do to help them improve their life through
Love
this
that.
horrible situation that they were now facing.
Mm.
Because these people they were at work, they went home, and then they found out from somebody else through a media source or something
Mm.
that their store was going to be shut down. I found out 15 minutes before the entire world. We had this like meeting. They had these big shots come in and sit us down and tell us. And I thought I was going to get fired that day because
Mm.
I'm like that kind of that rebel in a way. Like I'll
Yeah.
still kind of push back. I'll give you my opinion. It's not always looked highly upon in
Yeah.
the business world, right?
Yeah.
Or at least the large scale, big box world, right?
Yeah.
And this pushback from them onto me about we're gonna shut this store down, I just started laughing. I was like, Walmart's too big to fail. They'll never shut these stores down. I've got a secure job. They shut this store down, and the other managers are like crying. They don't know what to do. I'm just
Wow.
hysterically laughing. And I leave, and I'm like, these people are gonna be pissed. They're gonna think that I undercut them, that I let them go.
Mm.
And then they didn't because I had done the work to build the relationship and the trust.
I love that.
And then when I gave them the opportunity and set a plan up for what we were going to do,
Mm.
then the ones that wanted to do, they capitalized on it. The ones that
Wow.
wanted to go somewhere else, I gave them the opportunity to put me down as a resource
Mm-hmm.
and they could call. And in fact, I did vouchers for a lot of people to help them get jobs outside of Walmart.
Wow.
And then the opportunity was given to come to here.
Wow.
I came here, went to a Walmart in a very bad neighborhood again.
Mm-hmm.
And this Walmart, I didn't think things could get worse. Things just perpetually get worse.
Wow.
The Walmart that I end up going to doesn't have a back room to hold all of their products. They actually
Hmm.
put their back stock in a trailer.
Interesting.
I was like, what? I was like, no way. This is going to be hard. Well, I ended up catching pneumonia at a certain point, about a month in.
Wow.
And I go to my store manager. I'm like, hey, look, I don't think I'm going to make it. I think I need to go to the hospital. And she looks me dead in the eyes and says, well, if you don't come to work tonight, you're going to have to get a write up. What? I got to go to the hospital and you're going to write me up. She's like, I don't have anybody to replace you. I was like, well, I think I understand that. But once again, I'm still insecure. I'm not taking care of me. My dad had just given me this audio book from Larry Scott Adams. He wrote the
Mm-hmm.
cartoon Dilbert, I think it is.
Okay.
And it's how to lose at everything and still win big. And I
Mm.
kept listening to this part where he talked about he was a bank manager and he was on a plane and he met the CEO of a screw company. And the screw company CEO told him, he's like, hey, look, if you're not happy with who you are, with what you're doing, it's your responsibility to do something about it.
Yep.
He's like, well, wait a minute, but I work for this company. He's like, you are your own company and you have made an agreement with the company that you work for. And if it ever gets out of balance, it is your responsibility as the CEO of your own company to get it equalized again.
Amen.
Get the
Mm-hmm.
agreement back in structure or you have to walk.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. I listened to that I don't know how many times. And that day when she told me she was going to write me up, I went home and I told my wife, I was like, hey, I don't feel good. Like I can't breathe. And long story short, I worked in an ice cream freezer too.
Mm.
I was really good at inventory for
Mm.
Walmart. And she had me redoing their freezer because nobody wants to go in there. Well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it's an ice cream freezer, it's below a certain temperature. They do something to pull the moisture out so things don't freeze over and stuff. It was closing my throat up.
Oh shit.
And I was like, I would choke on food. Like one of my friends back in Wichita actually had to give me the Heimlich when we ate steak. But I didn't realize why those things were happening until down the road. Well,
Wow.
so she tells me, she's like, hey, look, I think you need to quit your job. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
I was like, I've never quit things.
Yeah.
I've always just drove through. That was the example my dad set for me. He was a power plant operator.
Okay.
He just worked all the time. It didn't matter. It
Mm.
didn't, if his health was whatever, like it didn't matter. You just provide for your family. That's what a man does. A
Yep.
man's value is tied up in what he provides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, all I was providing was monetary means.
Yeah.
I wasn't providing a quality example. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
providing love and support and security. I was actually robbing her of all that. And I didn't know it at
Wow.
that time. I just thought that I was supposed to follow the example of which my father gave me.
Wow.
So I trusted her. I knew that I couldn't do this anymore. I had listened to that stupid audio thing so many times it like was like kicking me in the face.
Yeah.
And I called my dad and I asked him, I was like, what do you think I should do? He was like, well, you need to do what's best for you,
Yeah.
but don't give up. Well, that's a compounded answer. Thanks, Dad.
Oh shit.
And to give a little backstory, my parents were older when they had me. My mom was
Okay.
38.
Okay.
My dad was 37.
Mm.
Like my dad's father grew up and survived the Great Depression.
Wow.
So like there were some like different family values that were in that. My grandfather, my mom's dad
Mm-hmm.
fought in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Like completely different way of living than what we live
Yeah.
right now.
Wow.
And I quit. I wrote my letter of resignation. I trusted my wife. I realized that I wasn't in a spot to make a clear decision, and what I was doing right now wasn't giving me the results that I wanted, and I was about to lose my wife.
Wow.
I was about to get divorced. I was about to like lose everything that I've always valued. And I trusted her. I quit. And when I quit, my store manager was completely dumbfounded. She's like, but we had all these plans for you. We were gonna get you to the distribution center and you were gonna do this and that. And I was like, you didn't take care of me. You threatened me. I was like, I appreciate the opportunities. I shook her hand. I put my keys down. I gave her my letter of resignation. I walked out and I got in the car and I just started bawling. At that point, my whole identity was wrapped up in being this manager, providing for my family, and I had no idea what I was supposed to do.
Wow.
I drove home, I sat on the bed, I looked in the mirror, and the person looking back at me was not somebody that I could respect. All my muscle was gone. The thing that I had valued and I created was gone. My family didn't respect me. I couldn't ask them to respect me. I didn't even respect myself.
Mm.
And that's when the thought of just ending it all happened.
Whoa.
And I was ready to pull the trigger, like legitimately ready to pull the trigger. And then this heroine walks back in and grabs that shit. And she's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Mm.
I was like, I'm fucking worthless. I am not anything that this family needs. I have no value. I don't have a job. I don't have my own dignity. I don't have nothing. She's like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm out here. And my wife is a spicy Latina that pulls no punches. And she's like, you made a commitment to me that you'd be here to take care of me, and you're not doing it. Well, that's a funny way to make me feel better. She's like, you promised to help me achieve my goals. You promised to make this family great. When we got married, you made this world look like everything was possible. And now look at you trying to take it away from me.
Whoa.
And she knew how to get to me. She knows that I do everything I can possibly do to make her life the best it can possibly be. Because that's what we do as men. We provide for our family. But I realized at that moment I wasn't providing the right things.
Mm.
And then she brought in our daughter. She's like, you got a little girl in that other room. If you do this shit right now, this dumbass shit right now that you want to do, what example are you setting for her? And that's what broke me. I was like, fuck. I was like, I'm about to let my daughter down.
Mm.
I can't do that.
Mm-mm.
And she then noticed the opportunity of you need to take your ass back to the gym. You're not the man I married. What's
Mm.
this? Who are you? Are you proud of what you see in the mirror?
Mm.
I'm like, no, I'm not. She's like, you need to go back to the gym. And then boom, limiting beliefs set in.
Mm.
All of these stories that I told myself of why I wasn't good enough. Well, now I found an easy one to satisfy that identity, that fractured identity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't have a job. We can't afford it. Well, she's a master of like money and like putting things together and just seeming how to make things work, which I have no idea. She does, and she always has.
Wow.
And I can count on her for that. And she's like, you go to the gym, I'll figure it out. I need my husband back. I need the person that's going to take care of us back, the one that's going to showcase for us.
Let's go.
And I did. I go back to the gym and I start getting myself back. I start working out. I start doing the things that I had taught myself how to do, and I came back.
Wow.
And as a reward for my birthday, she took me to Mr. Olympia.
What?
And I had never been to a Mr. Olympia. Growing up in Kansas, I never thought that I would get to go do any of that.
Yeah.
She took me to Venice Beach. She took me to all these things and showed me what was possible.
Let's go.
Well, at the Olympia, I meet my favorite bodybuilder of all time, Jay Cutler.
Ooh, let's go.
Right? And like we standing in line and I'm like getting all worked up. I'm like, oh shit, this is gonna happen. This life is gonna happen. Like, oh my God, this experience is gonna happen.
Let's go.
And then I get up there and I'm like, Hi, my name is Chris. I could not talk. I was completely starstruck, dumbfounded. She's the
Wow.
one that ends up talking to him for me. And he looks at me. I was jacked at that time. I had gotten back. And he's like, "Have you ever thought about competing? You're a big dude." And I was like, "No." She's like, "He wants to." She's like, "He wants to. He really wants to." And I'm like, "Oh, I want to." He gives me this card for his competition, the Desert Classic, if I remember right.
Okay.
And I look at it and I look at it and I don't believe that I can do it yet. But he tells me, he's like, "I think you do good."
Wow.
Well, that's the edification that we need, right? We
Yeah.
need to fulfill into other people to help them lift up.
Yeah.
So we go home. We have an amazing experience at the Mr. Olympia, so on and so forth. I go
Hmm.
home. I put that up on the cabinets, and I see it every day. And eventually, I'm like, I'm gonna sign up for this, and I just straight up whim and just signed up for it. I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and she's like, "All right." And I go compete in my first competition.
Let's go.
And at 33, I get on stage in my underwear. And I've had some friends that I've built along the way that kind of showed me how to pose and showed me how to the things that I need to do. I coached myself through the whole process.
Okay.
I finished third in my class.
Let's go, man.
All right.
Congratulations. Lifting off.
And going from losing everything to building it all back up helped me understand that how many men have done this? How many men have committed so much to providing monetarily to their family that they've
Mm.
lost their self on the way, that now that maybe they're not doing everything they should be doing, they're not providing the experiences and the life and the things that they love to their family, they're not being their true version of themselves or the best of what they could be.
100%.
And that's where Dapper and Fit came alive. And so we started developing Dapper and Fit. And I still worked other jobs. I was still
Yeah.
trying to figure myself out and stuff. And, you know, down the road, I started to see like, dude, there's a lot of men out there that really need this.
Mm.
There's a lot of men that have let themselves go and now they're living vicariously through the TV, through social media, being somebody or promoting something in a way that's not necessarily true to them and it's robbing them.
Amen. 100%.
And so we started teaching fitness and fashion. And I used what I learned in the business world and management and like that of presentation and why eye appeal is by appeal
Mm.
and those types of things to be able to teach men that their example, their presence is what is
Mm.
influencing their family, the people around them, and whatnot. And it evolved and it evolved and it evolved until
Mm.
where we are today.
Dude.
But I wouldn't have got there if I wouldn't have suffered.
Yeah.
And it amazes me how many people run from the suffering.
Mm.
They don't embrace it. They don't look at it as an opportunity. And I think that's largely due to what we have in front of us with like social media. We
Mm.
get the human highlight reels where people don't necessarily have to be honest.
Yeah.
That, like how many people do you know that wear a sports jersey and completely lose who they actually are and the value that they have?
A lot of people out there. Me personally, I don't know too many because I don't watch sports, but a lot of people out there.
Well, my personal belief is professional sports are the Roman games. They're
Mm.
played in the Colosseum. You have gladiators that wear uniforms and symbols and go out and do these acts that most people just can't do.
Yeah.
And people cheer and scream and drink their alcohol, whether it's beer now or wine in the past. They
Mm.
get their pretzels of today or the bread of the past.
Mm-hmm.
And the politicians and the ones that have all the money and the influence and the social say so sit up in the boxes and make the deals while the serfs or the slaves or the citizens of the time
Mm.
are distracted.
Yeah.
And they decide the way that our society goes because we
100%.
are distracted. Like they went from a person that had a true identity, had things that about them that they loved and valued, and because they didn't get the instant gratification and over time of being demeaned, let's go right back to my 8th grade year where that teacher robbed me of any self-dignity by calling me gay and telling people
Yep.
that I look at guys in their underwear and yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
That they have these memories, these feelings, these things that they're holding on to that are solidifying this fractured identity.
Yeah.
And now they feel good by representing a team because they're around other people that represent that team. Yet that's a fanatical belief because they went from no identity or a fractured one and slowly over time got validated because they were around other people that had a similar belief structure and getting into a point where now that's all who they are. And if they meet somebody of the other team, oh no. I mean, we see it on social media now. We see how the fights go and people cheer for it. And now the Roman gladiators are now in the stands. And we're encouraging, we're supporting, we're giving likes, which is votes or validation points towards these types of behaviors. And we're robbing our society of leaders, of a community that can flourish, can work together. In fact, I fear the day that the electricity shuts off because the minute that all of this around us no longer works, we're going to go back to the primitive stage of human existence. And because we haven't been building skills that teach us on how to collaborate, how to work together, how to take care of each other in a productive way, we're going to slaughter each other. We are going to cut each other's throats and take each other for whatever's worth. And at the end of the day, we're all going to die. Because we didn't do the things that were put in front of us.
Yeah.
Now, I don't talk a lot about religion or that belief because I think that's a very personal thing. But the Bible does offer the means in which a person, and I can't say 100% that Jesus Christ existed. However, the stories do show us a really good example of what a high quality, a quote unquote perfect person and how that person can interact in society and create a way that we can all exist. Now, do we follow that? No. Do the people that claim to be Christians follow that 100%? No.
No.
And is that okay? Yes. But should we be striving to learn from it? Should we be assessing ourselves, holding ourselves accountable, learning and developing, and having the willingness to be like, you know what, I made a mistake and I'm willing to forgive myself. But what does forgiveness actually look like? Forgiveness looks like the assessment, the accountability, the action plan, and then the effort.
Yeah.
I'm going to choose to do something different. And it's just like I told you about that moment where the guy put the gun to my head. I could have persecuted him, but I chose to have humility and to have empathy in him and probably guess that he probably didn't know any better. And his living situation probably isn't the best. And he's in survival mode right now, and that's all he knows how to do. So I use those moments throughout my life to try to help people learn and develop and grow. And is it the most popular thing? Nah.
No.
Do I get the big uproar and like the social media hits? No, because it's not exciting. It's not entertainment. I don't.
You're going against the grain.
Absolutely. But isn't that what Christ did? I mean, I don't want to compare myself to him. I would like to strive to be more like him. And that's part of the reason why I don't talk about religion. A lot of people will look at what I wear on my chest and be like, oh, you're a part of the Illuminati. No, my dad is a 32nd degree Freemason. And the eye represents the judgment of God
Mm-hmm.
upon us. And that's what I view the eye as, is at one point, God will judge me for my actions. Have I made mistakes? Yes. Am I willing to say I did that? Yes. Am I trying to do things to learn from it and never let it happen? Yes. And if I can hopefully speak to that, hopefully God will have forgiveness upon me
Mm.
and see that I try to do something different, to try to help other people, to try to live in a way that he could be proud of myself.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They mask it, they hide it, they put on shows, they put on spectacles in hopes that they'll get approval by others.
Mm.
You know, and it's kind of sad at certain points
Oh,
because
100%.
you can kind of see through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
I love that, man. It's amazing how all of the things compounded to that point to where you're at now.
hmm
And it's so true because when I was working at Monument Park Car Parts, I was working at Champ Sports, I was working at Safeway, I was in all these different places. They all just said, keep your head down, do
yes,
your job,
yes,
don't ask questions.
yes.
They didn't like that shit.
Follow the model.
Follow the model. That's why we're here today, because I didn't follow that shit.
Absolutely. Well, and it's interesting if you actually look at their model,
Mm.
you look at their cultural standards, the management doesn't follow the model. They don't do what they say they're going to do. And then
No.
they wonder why the people below them don't do what they say they're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be so easy if they actually just picked that cultural standard up, looked at it, embraced it, followed it, and admitted that they weren't doing it the best and then asked for help.
Amen.
But if we do that, oh no, I might not be the king anymore.
Mm-hmm.
What? I have an imperfection. Well, that's okay.
Exactly.
We can all learn from that imperfection. You know, and there's other people, and I don't want to name names, but there's things that I choose not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to have someone take their clothes off on stage and then demean them in front of people
Mm.
to set the example or to set a standard.
Mm.
And like, I value that person.
Mm-hmm.
He helped me a lot in my life, but there's just things that we should not be doing just to get social media hits.
Oh my God. I'm right there with you. And that's one reason why my shit isn't popping off and huge. And people ask me, like, surprised you're not bigger and this and that and everything else. I'm like, well, I'm not doing the popular thing. I don't care about clickbait. Like this podcast, I don't care about getting the biggest of the biggest. And like, I have the certified health nut coming on, and I'm not doing that because of clout. I'm doing that because I love biohacking.
Right.
I love living, and I want to live for as long as I possibly can. And I'll be honest with you, like this show is a little selfish from the perspective of like for you and I to have one-on-one for 2 hours.
Right.
Right. And then share it with just one person that could take this and apply something to their lives. Like, you know, this is helping us grow as men, you know, and you got to meet my family, you come to my personal home, I'm walking you around. Right. And so that's where I feel like individuals, you know, that are watching, hopefully you'll see, and you could share this with one person that needs to hear it, because there aren't very many shows like this. And if you look at all the shows that are out there, it's all regurgitated.
Absolutely.
Same with the algorithm, whether it's Alex Hormozy or fucking Gary Vee or any of these people. And congratulations to them and what they're doing. There's a shift going on. And I feel like we're a part of the catalyst of the shift.
Right. I was telling my wife on the way over here on our like hour-long drive. Isn't that crazy? You drive from one side of Phoenix to the
bro.
other.
Yeah, let's go, dude. Let's go. Like dedication, man. He wants to get his message out there.
Absolutely. I mean, but that's how we help people. It's all about eyeballs. We all got this problem. It's called an eyeball problem.
Mm.
But if we're willing to sacrifice our standards, what else are you willing to sacrifice?
Mm.
And I think that's it. Like when we start making exceptions for our boundaries,
Mm.
well, then people will start being able to take advantage of other things. And we are willing to start giving up on other stuff.
Mm.
And so we have to be very defined in our boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we do that is by establishing very hard line standards.
Yeah.
What are the things that we value? And in my most recent book that I wrote, Your Body, Your Choice, Your Legacy,
I like that.
it asks you a bunch of questions with context about what is the person that you want to be remembered as at your funeral. What does it look like?
Mm-hmm.
So then you can have clear identification as to what you want those things to be. So then when those moments happen, then you already have a very good understanding of what it is that you want.
Yeah.
Then you can choose. Oftentimes we're just reactive, like animals. And in a way that I think social media and our societal structure with the opportunity of convenience
Mm-hmm.
has created us back into being animals.
Yeah.
And now with AI, if we're not careful, because we can willfully download information about us into these systems,
Mm.
will have judgment upon us.
Yeah.
It will decide who is feasible to continue on with the human race
Mm.
because we have willfully given up our data in the means for something like you think like Facebook, right?
Mm.
It's free to use. Is it? What are you giving up? You're giving up all your data.
And
That's
attention.
absolutely. You're distracted. You're watching people fight or girls jiggle their boobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just started running ads. We worked with Jason Wu
Mm-hmm.
and he's running ads for us. That was a whole thing that I just couldn't get around. I had tried doing this organic thing for
I'm
so long and
right there with you.
dude, it wasn't working. We start running ads. I'm like, cool, I'm getting all these followers now. Things are starting to happen. I'm liking this. And then they put the ad up to start making that contact. Then I started getting really weird shit.
Mm.
Really, really weird shit. And like one person sends me a contact, like to want to talk. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then at the same exact time, this chick sends in, and then she starts sending me like naked videos and stuff like that. I'm like, this isn't what I wanted.
Mm.
I don't want this shit. Well, then I get another one and I set up a call with the dude, and the dude, I swear to God, is choking his chicken while we're on camp, like while we're doing the conversation. The phone's going like back and forth, and I'm like, what the fuck? No,
Interesting.
not what I want.
Yeah.
And that's when I really solidified that I want out of the fitness space. I
Mm.
want out. Like Dapper and Fit has reached its point of where we are making a pivot to the legacy of leadership.
Mm.
And the legacy of leadership started as the gentlemen's dinners, where we could promote other men and show the example of what leaders look like in our community and be the voice for them and
Mm.
teach men how they can be more active and
Mm-hmm.
productive in their communities. Now, it's not for everybody because not everybody's ready to hear that.
No.
Do you network at all?
Yeah.
All right, so you go to these networking events, and there's a lot here. I didn't realize like how
A shit
powerful
ton.
networking is, right? All right, so when you go to a networking event, what is the normal interaction that you have?
Someone comes up. My name is. What do you do?
Boom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they proceed to vomit all over you about how great they are, all these fucking wonderful things, and there's no connection.
Mm-hmm.
So at the dinners, you're not supposed to just communicate and find out about yourself to other people or to go tell yourself about to other people.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to find out about somebody else because when introductions happen,
Mm.
you get up and you talk about the person that you met.
I love it.
You're not allowed to get up and start promoting yourself to the group.
I love that.
That is not the way things work. And in fact, I went to a business conference where a guy had actually talked about the difference between America and the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go anywhere and start bragging about yourself outside of America, first, they know you're American. Second, you're instantly out. Out because nobody wants to hear that shit.
Nope. I can see that.
So I took that concept and I was like, I really dove into it and I was like, there's a lot of weight in that. There's a lot of value in that. Like, are we actually listening?
Mm-hmm.
Are we actively listening to what other people have to say?
Mm.
And we're not because we're so ready to vomit all over them about how great we are in hopes that they see the potential in us
Mm-hmm.
versus taking that moment to step back and be like, dude, you've done a lot of really cool stuff. Like one of the things that I noticed when I walk in your house, like how much you love Monopoly. That's cool. But there's other little things like the cars behind me. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And then you hear your daughter and she's like, I like cars and muscles. Well, what does that tell me? Well, the kids are the biggest indicator of who the parents actually are because
Yeah.
the examples that we set will bleed upon them and they will and then take that on and become the versions of what we set for them.
Amen. No hiding.
So I'm like, cool, dude likes cars. Well, I see what kind of cars he likes. He likes like sports cars.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. He likes Monopoly. That means he likes the game of business.
Mm-hmm.
He likes the liftoff experience. He likes to lift people up. Like
Mm-hmm.
this guy is probably somebody that I want to get to
Mr.
meet.
Liftoff, bro.
Hey, and he's even willing to get a tattoo of his value system because businesses to me are a value system. It's a brand,
Yeah.
right? The brands tell people of what they're going to feel, what's the experience that they're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
And you're definitely dedicated enough to permanently tattoo something on you.
I didn't even think about that because I have deter from evil, have faith. What are you committed to? Yin and yang. Go big or go home.
All right.
I have life is what you make it. Strength
Okay.
on the back. So I'm a walking bill. I have an angel here. I have
Mm-hmm.
a devil here. 2 girls. And so yeah, I didn't even. It's like it's a whole thing. Like I am word
Yep.
with the heart because I am word are the most 2 powerful words you could use for an affirmation.
Yep.
Right. And it's so true. It's like, I don't even know because I told you the last guest that we had on and he's the branding expert, you know, and then he comes in and then I take him to a whole different level of branding because you haven't even seen the cars yet. We'll see them after the show.
Oh,
He
sweet.
was just like, oh shit. Like this guy's really embodying what this means, what this looks like.
But if you're not, what are you? It's a false identity.
Yes.
You are not living up to what you say you are. And I have this belief in it, the way we do one thing is the way we do all.
Amen.
And if you're not living up to that, what else aren't you living up to?
Mm.
You know, I try to pay attention to the way people move, the way they act, the actions that they take, and then does that align with the words that they say?
Mm.
And there's a lot of people that put on a show
Mm-hmm.
and then go on and do something completely different.
Yeah.
Now, there was a moment I went to an event with my mentor after the conference that he put on, and we went to a Michael Burnoff event.
Okay.
And we went to Core, and there was something that I was holding on to. I've been holding on to it for a while that I'm intimidating. And I'm not as big as what I used to be, but I'm 6'1", 6'2",
Mm-hmm.
200 plus pounds. I dress well. My verbal abilities
Yeah.
aren't what match the way I appear.
Yeah.
And it's very intimidating for a lot of people. And I took on that ownership of that word that I believed that I was intimidating. And I had a crutch for it. In fact, it was my limiting belief that stopped me from having interactions with people.
Interesting.
And my mentor at that event, I got up and told Burnoff about that and what I wanted to do. And he called me Mr. Intimidating the entire event until my mentor, Tab Pierce, he sends me this message one night at the event. He's like, hey, you're not intimidating. What you are is formidable.
Mm.
And I was like, I like that. And then he explained to me what it was. He said, my standards and the way I carry myself and the things that I've learned make people uncomfortable because it reminds them of their insecurities. And it's
Ooh.
right.
Let's go.
And how often does that show up in our lives when we meet someone that's doing the things that we wish, that's living a life that we want?
Mm-hmm.
And they can't necessarily believe in themselves that they too are capable of it if they're willing to do the work that those people are doing.
Amen.
So they create distance so they don't have to hold themselves accountable to being that person.
Mm.
So he sends me that, he tells me that. And in fact, he actually said something about that at the event.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up saying something about it. I ended up speaking at that event. I don't know if I was supposed to, but I got the mic and I'm not letting go of it.
Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like I was called to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of these things that I go out and say when I speak and stuff like that, I don't have a script.
Yeah.
I don't have this like, whatever, this like over and over speech that I give over and over and over. I have a basic understanding of what I need to talk about, and then God gives me the information, what I feel like I need to deliver to people.
I love that.
And sometimes I go on rambles and my wife has to like check me. She's a big shot when it comes to Toastmasters.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So she's kind of like coached me along in the way that I move,
Yeah.
but she gets frustrated because a lot of times I'll like go on tangents.
Okay. Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah.
All
That's
right, so-
good. I mean, it's a flow state, right? When you're in that flow state, you just feel it, and you're just like, it's almost like God's speaking through you.
Right. But I forget where I'm at sometimes. And
Yeah.
then I like regurgitate information over and over.
Oh, there you go. It's all good.
But yeah, he gave me this word and it freed me. When I stayed up and told Burnoff that I wasn't intimidating, that I'm formidable, there was something about me that changed in that moment.
Ooh.
My belief in who I was now unlocked, and I understood why that I had been limiting myself because I had been giving value to other people's opinion of me in a way that was limiting me from actually helping people.
It reminds me of that quote, where attention goes, energy flows. So it grew because you gave it that attention.
Absolutely. And we look at words, right? Well, what are words? Well, what is it?
Affirmations.
Well, then that's a word. Spell, spelling, speech craft. God spoke into existence. We speak things into existence. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's verbal. What is the language that you have going on inside of your head about who you are?
And then the energy you put behind.
Bam. Yeah. So one of the things that I have learned along the way is that you might find this interesting. Remember how before I told you when the moment struck that she told me to go back to the gym, that I came up with all these reasons, these stories, these excuses why I couldn't? Well, that was my identity. And the ego was now trying to protect that identity because the ego's job is to protect the identity. And a lot of times I hear a lot of people talk about ego, 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 ego. Well, it's not the ego. The ego is a defensive mechanism for the identity. And most people stop at the ego, but they have to change the identity. And they have to move the ego out of the way so the identity can then be assessed and be able to be transformed. And the only way to do that is with the logical mind. Well, if we don't write it out, if we only talk about it, the identity is now still in control. It is not the logical mind. So when we read something, we have the ability to decipher if it's accurate information. But if we don't, if we just talk about it, we will still allow the ego to protect the identity.
Boom. Let's go.
So that's why writing is so powerful, because you are creating. Those characters have power. It's intentional. You have to put effort into it. That's the energy that you talked about.
Yeah.
And then it's that spell. You're writing out a spell in a way. And so then you have the ability, the opportunity to now assess if what it is and who you are is exactly what you're actually wanting to do.
Yeah.
Now, typing on a computer, not as effective. You're not actually really doing anything. But when you're writing, you're one, thinking, two, you're writing, and three, you're reading. Now you have the power going on inside of your brain that's allowing it to truly assess and create.
Neurological connection. I like that.
Absolutely. It's just like going to the gym and working out. You're like, all right, I'm thinking about this exercise. I'm seeing it happen. I'm physically doing it. And then if you take the power of understanding of what it is that you want to look like with those mechanisms and skills, you can actually create something. And what I love about fitness is we can take fitness and apply it to anything in our lives. Anything. It's all the same system. It's
Yes.
all the same framework. Things are very relative
Everything.
and relatable.
Mm-hmm.
So we have this opportunity to then take fitness and apply it to other things in our lives. And if we can go into the gym, utilize that system as
Mm-hmm.
a means to test ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
to understand that we can overcome difficulties by applying the relatability of training to the rest of our life,
Mm.
nothing can stop us other than ourselves.
Boom.
Now, you may have to work up to it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're not going to go in there and just like squat 1,000 pounds. It's not going to happen.
No.
I mean, I don't even know if I could squat 1,000 pounds. I'd probably, yeah, no.
Yeah,
But
probably not gonna.
it's just not happen. That's
Yeah.
realistic goal setting, right?
Yeah.
But the idea of it is we
Mm.
can utilize the gym in a way that can amplify us
Mm-hmm.
to go into situations. And if we can lean back on that experience and be like, you know what, I overcame doing that leg press. And because I was surrounded by the right people that told me that I could do two more, even though I didn't believe it, I still did it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm facing this business decision right now, and I don't know if I can do it. I want to walk away from my job right now. I don't know if I can do it. But I was surrounded by the right people that believed in me and pushed me and held me accountable. Maybe I can do it. No, you know what? Not maybe. I can do it. I
Mm-hmm.
can accomplish this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. No, I just got goosebumps.
Boom. Liftoff. Let's go.
Right?
Let's go. That's anyone who's viewing and listening. Like, how could you apply that to something that you like? And it could be anything. You're working on cars and you're working on something in the motor, and then you pass a point that you thought you never could because you have your buddies with you, and then you did it.
Yes.
Like the gym, or it could be a hobby, or it could be working on your house, redoing that bathroom.
And I think that's where the power of community comes in. And that's why we are making this pivot towards the legacy of leadership, because the legacy of leadership is now expanding outside the men's gentlemen's dinners into the promotional side of lifting up and promoting leaders in our community that excel at their own thing, that are proud of that thing. And we will be the voice
Mm.
for them so they don't have to look like arrogant assholes that just want to talk about themselves. We are your voice. And if you want out there, you want to be promoted, then we are that platform for you.
I love
Actually,
that.
growing up, I couldn't read very well. Couldn't write. My mom or my dad's sister was a special education teacher, and she put me through this test. This test said, well, he has a learning disability. You too?
I had a learning disability as well.
All right. So you know what that does for people.
Yep.
That's just like saying you're bipolar.
Yep.
Now you don't have to try. You can take these meds and you can be a zombie.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
All this extra shit.
Yeah, it's bullshit. It's a cop-out plan. And it's a great way for our governmental system to allow people to be victims. And you know what is the great thing for the government about victims? Victims are easy to control.
That's true.
They're also a liability. However, we've got a system in place to deal with liabilities. It's called the prison industrial complex. You can go to a place that will manage you and you can be cheap labor. But that's a whole other conspiracy theory or conspiracy fact that we can discuss later. But ideally, we don't have to be victims. We don't have to be bipolar. We don't have to have a learning disability. And I wrote a magazine. And that magazine, we will promote leaders. And that magazine then also has a website. And that website has profiles that has links. So then when you go to a networking event, no longer do you have to sit there and word vomit all over people about how great you are and not have a connection. You can then give them your badge that has a QR code on it that they can scan, and they can kind of see who you are and find out all the links about you and if it's someone that they want to connect with.
I like that. It's like like a baseball card or something. Like, it's like, here's your
Yes.
stats card
Yes.
with everything that you need.
Yes. And we write blogs. We post all the social media sites. We go through
Mm.
all the Facebook pages. We go do everything for them so they can focus on doing the things that they like to do. And
Mm.
I get to do what I like to do. I get to go meet people and promote them and
Hell
talk
yeah.
about how amazing they are. And like, I don't know, I get a kick out of watching people smile because I get to find out what excites them.
Well, it's interesting because there's like that saying they say, like, you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. And when you're speaking to someone and that person, you're listening authentically, right?
Hmm.
And then they're just talking, and you're doing like 10%, they're doing 90%. It's funny because psychologically it states that that person will feel like they know you so well and they have this
Hmm.
big connection. You said only 10% of the conversation, but they got to speak so much and you intensely listened and maybe they don't get heard. And then it just elevates your
Absolutely.
awareness.
And that's why a podcast like this
Mm-hmm.
is so impactful because you
Mm-hmm.
gave the opportunity for me just to ramble on for I don't know how long
We're an
about
hour
my
and 12
story.
minutes so far.
And how much of that was me just word vomiting to you about my
Mm-hmm.
story?
Mm-hmm.
You provided a platform for me to feel great about who I am
Mm-hmm.
in hopes that somebody out there might hear a story that might empower them to
Mm-hmm.
go out and make a different choice with their life to get a result that they dream of.
Exactly. 100%.
Boom.
And that's what it's about. And the thing is too, is like, and it's one thing when like there's no monetizing here. Like if you like and subscribe, like that's cool. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Like there's no I want to make money, I want to connect with people because nothing. Like I have my foundation and I'm good. And
Mhm.
now I can be able to branch off and I'm going to actually reserve myself in the next 2 years to be able to like have the company run itself, the main organization, so that I can go to schools and I can motivational speak and I can do what I'm called to do,
Yes.
which is like checkmate because then I figured out how to make the money, take care of the family, have the autonomy to be able to go and enjoy.
Absolutely. All
I
right.
love
I'm
it.
going to give you a little gift.
All right.
All right. Well, I'll give you two gifts.
All right. Let's go.
All right. So the first gift is your gift
Mm.
is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Why do I say that? Well, all the way through our lives, we go through, we make these experiences, we have these moments, and it's building on our gift.
Mm.
However, if you hold your gift and you don't give your gift to somebody else, then your gift at a point stops growing.
I like that.
And if you're holding on to your gift, all right, let's just pretend. Let's do this. We'll do a little activity right now. All right. I like activities. I like action.
Yeah, me too.
All right. So you're going to hold your gift in your hand.
All right.
Your gift's big. It's massive because you are a masterful person and you have done amazing things in your life. What does that gift look like? Can you describe it?
It's a beautiful, colorful, almost like rocks, like almost like the
Ooh.
beautiful, like the rock we have over in the window. It's kind of like a really cool
Ooh.
gemstone rock that
Okay.
just has like this energy that emits from it. And
Ooh.
so when someone holds it or touches it, they actually feel this energy of all the amazing gifts that I've done over the years.
Okay. So this rock, what color is it?
It's bluish with almost like gold, blue, a little bit
Okay.
of purples.
When it glows, what color is it?
It glows like bright, almost like gold.
Dang. Do you think other people might want to hold this rock?
Oh my God, yeah.
What happens if you let them hold this rock?
It's going to glow more.
It's going to glow more. What's going to happen to them?
They're going to totally be able to feel this energy to shift.
Oh, man. And when they shift, what happens in their life?
They want to be able to give more with this gift
Oh, shoot.
and
And
hand
now,
it down.
do you think their gifts might glow and grow also?
Oh my God, yeah.
All right. So, why do you want to hold on to this rock?
I don't. Here you go.
Boom. Now, dude, I feel it. My skin is tingling right now.
Let's go.
This blue rock is now
go.
gold and glowing. And now I feel like I might need to give it to my wife or my
Yes.
kid or your
Yes.
wife or someone I meet on the street or that guy that put a gun to my head.
Yes.
And the thing about our gifts is we're not supposed to hold on to them. Because if we hold on to our gifts, how do I get a gift from somebody else?
Amen. 100%.
How do I do that? I can't because I'm carrying around this baggage at this point. And so if we don't learn from our childhood traumas, if we don't learn from the things that happened to us, we just hold on to our gift because all of those things that we've gone through in our life are our gift. They're our story. They're our previous identity.
Yes.
So the minute that we start being vulnerable, we start being willing to here's my gift to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have the opportunity to learn from each other, to build a society and a means in which that we have the opportunity to flourish.
Amen.
And this is what it's about.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. And that's the thing people don't think about.
No,
They don't think about the fact that the trials, the tribulations, the negative, you could say negative, but it's really a positive
absolutely.
that actually could be reverse engineered as a gift, because then when you do speak or speak to someone, then you can relate to them on a deeper level, whether it was learning disability, which we had, reading and writing, which we had. I was diagnosed with colitis, and I worked through all that shit,
Okay.
right? Beat by my father, and he hated my guts and did deal with a bunch of bullshit. But that bullshit is now turning into a book that I'm writing as well,
Oh, yeah.
which is a gift that I'm going to give to others.
I wish I could push the button.
Oh, yeah. Let's
Yeah,
go.
there we go. Let's
go.
solidify that one.
And they give you, you know what? Hey, liftoff moment. I'm going to get a little button. I'm going to get a little button freaking thing over there.
All right. So when you do that, you have to promise me one thing.
What you got?
I would like to be back on this show
All right.
because I want to push the button.
All right. I got you.
All right.
I got you. No worries.
I appreciate that because right now, as you push that button, I feel great.
You know what I'm saying? We got to celebrate each other, bro.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I think that we aren't doing enough in society is celebrating each other.
Yes.
We do a really good job of celebrating ourselves. But at the end of the day, how good is that celebration if we are only doing it with ourselves?
Yeah.
The party's not fun unless there's other people around us.
100%.
So, like, why only do it for ourselves? And once again, that's that legacy of leadership. And what is a legacy? Can you answer that one for me?
A legacy, we got calls coming in. Didn't I? What's these calls coming here? Legacy is the way that you show up for other people and the transfer of energy, because people forget what you said and did, but they won't forget the way you made them feel. So when you make them feel something, they're going to be like, wow. When they're sitting there at your funeral, they're going to be like, this guy did this, and this. He didn't have to, but he did. And that's how I remember him. So legacy is how you were remembered.
Absolutely. And that's it. It's the memory we have of people.
Amen.
And if we're not intentional with our actions, then we're just susceptible to whatever.
Whatever.
And a lot of times when I ask people that question, who do you want to be? What do you want people to say about you when you die?
Amen.
Their cop-out answer is always, I don't care what people have to say about me. That's not what I asked you. I understand that, and you probably shouldn't care necessarily what people say about you. However, what do you want people to say about you? Because once we identify what we want people to say about us, it gives us a really good understanding of the actions that we will have to take to go out and be that person.
Yes.
No longer do you have to wander around in the woods without the map, trying to figure out who I'm going to be. Am I going to survive? Is there going to be food? Is there going to be a wild animal that eats my corpse? No, because we have intention. We know exactly what we have to do to become the person that we want to be remembered as.
I literally was thinking intention, and then you just automatically said it. And it's so true, because I feel like so many people don't set intentions or understand that the constructs of the reality that we're a part of in today's world is and has been constructed from the past generations. And so we have the ability to shift and change that narrative. And I feel like people just need to step up and choose to make that choice to be like, I want to do something different. And I look at it as life by design.
Now, let me ask you this. That's a good point. What would stop them?
Programming, self-limiting beliefs, family,
And
friends.
what are those things embedded into?
I would say a lot of it's worthy. Do they feel worthy?
We're getting there. And that worthiness, how does that might make somebody feel?
They don't deserve it.
Inadequate.
Yeah.
The people that you see living lives and making choices, it's to honestly hide those feelings of inadequacy. I'm not good enough. Who I am right now isn't good enough. I'm not living up to my potential. Potential is a really, really compounded word. It's kind of scary because in all reality, when we say potential, like let's say your manager comes up to you and you're like, hey, John, you got some great potential. John should be like, what the hell?
What does that mean?
John should be like, damn. Because deep down inside, what it really means is he's not living up to who he could be. He's not at his fullest. Now, in that exact moment, he is his fullest. There's someone that helped me understand this path a lot, and he was on my podcast, which is very similar to this. It's called the Man Up and Own It Show.
Let's go.
Where we interview men to tell the stories of what they went through, the adversity that they triumphed over, in hopes to help some other man out there live a life where he's making a different choice to get a different outcome.
I love that.
Now, this man, his name's Dave Waltzer. He puts on Wicked Awesome Happy Hour. And Dave told me a story about when he was in high school. He had a teacher that asked him what he wanted to do. And he told him, I was like, I'm going to be a CEO. I'm going to do all these things. And I'm going to do great stuff. I'm going to blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
And the teacher looked him dead in the eyes. He's like, you're never going to do it. Waltzer was like,
wow.
Waltzer's a big dude. Like, he's taller than me. And he like looked me in the eye and was like, or he looked at the teacher in the eye and he's like, fuck you, dude. What do you mean? Like, he was ready to fight. He's like, how dare you question what I'm going to do?
Let's go.
And then the teacher was like, whoa, wait a minute. What I'm saying is who you are right now will never accomplish those things. Who you will have to become, I have no doubt in my mind that you will accomplish them, but you will not accomplish them as the person that you are right now. And that goes back to what we talked about with the gifts. If you're not willing to give up your gifts, you can't take on new ones. You can't build. You can't grow. And so that really helped me understand that I had to let go of the things that I had been holding on to, the things that weren't benefiting me and the man that I wanted to become, if I wanted to do the things that I kept talking about. And so that's kind of been my thing. And I've been like really diving into that, like identifying who it is that I want to be. And as I have done more and more of those actions and gotten better and better at them, just like training.
Yeah.
I've lifted a lot of weights. I know I've learned along the way that there's better ways to train that don't require just sheer force, that I can get an outcome that I want, that can be applied to other things in my life. I'm like, I can do that with this. And I've done that. And now all of a sudden those things are starting to come.
Dude, that's huge, man. I think the biggest thing is that I love pressure. And I think for viewers and listeners out there, there's different types of pressure. Okay. Yes, there's pressure that's stressful and bills and whatever the case may be. And oh my God, this is all happening. It's all happening to me. Why me? Or the pressure of like, this is happening for me for a reason to grow. And I love the opportunity of having so much additional pressure where, like, just for context out there. Okay. We've never really met each other intimately.
No.
I brought you, your wife, you drove an hour to my personal residence to sit here in this podcast and for us to go back and forth. And I know you are, I didn't know you were as big as you are, so I'm a little intimidating. No, but you are someone who...
formidable.
Yeah, formidable. I like that. You are someone that... you know, you're no bullshit. You know, you're very much transparent, right? You wrote the book. You're doing what you're doing with all of the things that you have, and that's where I like the pressure, you know. And I'll even be honest. Like this morning, I'm talking to my partner. We're doing boring stuff. We got to go over the taxes and this and that and whatever else. It's boring. And I'm just like, by 12 o'clock, I'm kind of tired, you know. And then I was just like, you know, no. I got this podcast. No, I have this meeting and pushing forward and now having this magical, amazing opportunity was like I premeditated, and you could do this out there as well, premeditated this opportunity. Well, then when life fucking happens and you feel like I don't want to do it, you still go to the gym, you still get in the podcast, you still do the thing that you're committed to because you know where you want to go.
I'd like you to expand on that real quick. I'd like for you to expand on what premeditation is so they can understand what it actually looks like. Because I think that it's easy to say words, especially words like that are kind of triggering or like, like spectacly, and people don't actually understand it.
Yeah.
So can you just dive into that just a little bit? And I got a little story to go
I like
along
that.
with it.
I like that. So basically, yeah, Gilbert, Arizona is where I live. I have my wife. I have my daughter. Right. She quits her job after 16 years, so she's full time with her tea company. We get into the fix and flick thing, and I know that Liftoff Agent is the core focus, and I know that the goal is to have an exit, a very large exit, 15,000 agents and $300 million, and like for me to become who I'm going to become, I'm premeditating on like what do I need to do to get there, and that could be running ads or expanding the team or expanding my awareness to be able to get there, right? And so now we're at a point where like the properties are sitting, and now there's lot rent, and I got to pay all this extra cash, and I'm just like feeling in literally a week before last, I was going through like a week and a half of funk, feeling not worthy and feeling this, and then I got to a point where I had to like get out of it because I already know where I want to go. And I'm not committed to what I was feeling and who I was being. And my wife even said, where did my husband go? Where did my loving, like just happy go lucky, greater than life personality husband go? And then I had to, like what you had in your moment, I had to say, what am I committed to? What am I doing here? Like, and so I had to take 2 steps back to take 2 steps forward. Now we're under contract with one of the properties. We close on the 28th. We're going to have that relief and we can keep moving forward. And I can be like, all right, it was almost like getting through a battle
Yes.
in time to see if I am ready to get to the next segment, because with more responsibility and more income and more people and all the things, like you have to, I feel like the Lord is checking you to make
Absolutely.
sure that you're ready for it, so you don't become this arrogant fucking prick with this money who's not going to serve and support and give and help, because that's what I feel like leaders, true leaders that have wealth and abundance in multiple different levels are destined to do. They have to give.
Hit that button.
All right.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. See?
Let's go. Lift off.
And you hit it right on the head. You knew what you wanted and you learned the steps that you would have to do along the way.
Yeah.
You didn't give up
Yeah.
because what you know is only what you know, and what you don't know is what you don't know. And
Learning.
at a certain point, you're like, dang, I'm kind of upset with myself, but why? Well, the why is because now you figured it out and you're driving, looking in the rearview mirror. You're looking back and being like hard on yourself because you didn't know what you didn't know and you just learned it and you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
And when you use $90,000 of your wife's retirement, and she's like, "Oh, well, there goes my retirement,
Yep.
and we're only gonna be left with 20 grand,
Yep.
right?" And you're paying 225 to 3,000 a month to hold just for this $150,000 just to sit there. It's like, whoa.
But that's where we get to test the true character of the individual. What did they do at that moment when they realized, oh shit, that's the situation that I'm in? Am I going to rise to the occasion or am I going to submit? And you've risen to the occasion. And that's where God has said, yes, you deserve the next level because you trusted in me. You trusted in yourself because you took the time and the action to go learn and develop and grow.
Yeah.
Don't be bad about yourself. Lift yourself up, find the right people, and continue to move forward on this journey. Bring in
Amen.
more people along because you have proven that you are responsible and you are more than capable.
Amen. And it's brought my wife and I closer.
Of course it has, because she respects you as an individual and she feels safe in your presence.
Yeah.
Men
That I can provide.
Men do that. We provide. And it's safety, security, the feeling of hope.
Yeah.
And finances are just a tool to create some of those things.
Oh my God. And for everyone out there, like, you can have nice shit. It don't mean nothing. Nothing. You can go right back to fucking where you started, even with the nice shit, because the nice shit isn't like Chris here, who actually can give you contrast, who could tell you where you're fucking up and give you that help and be able to put things in perspective and be like, here you go.
Yes.
It's what you need.
Yes. And in a way that's not demeaning. That's one thing. Like, I'm not a fan of the coaches that I see. A lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them are very robbing of personal value. And like we'll just say like the Wes Watsons of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that dude doesn't need to be online other than as an example of what not to be like.
Mm.
He's an out of control man that's thriving off of the algorithm, because
Yeah.
I truly believe that the algorithm is showing us examples of what not to be like.
Yeah.
However, we thrive off of violence and
Mm.
and putting other people down because we live in a crabs in a bucket society.
I love that. I love that. And this is the thing. I do follow him, and I follow him for a couple different reasons. I follow him one because there is some motivational factor there, and on the other side that I follow him is because I'm curious about like there's something about him that's like I don't know, like something like he just brought his ex-girlfriend back.
Yeah.
And then like he's sharing all this content from when the baby was like a lot younger.
Mm-hmm.
And then I almost, not that it's fake, but I almost feel like is her coming back in the family because he sees from a marketable standpoint it makes sense to show family instead of just him by himself,
Yeah.
right? So is that a marketable play? Is he doing that because he's trying to maybe increase his individual coaching clients who have family that he can relate to?
Well,
They're not even his kids.
I think that's it though, is he wants to be more relatable.
Yeah.
And this is what I would challenge you on. You like fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife used to compete.
Mm-hmm.
Would she take in shit?
Mm-mm.
No. So what we consume is not limited to the nutrients on our plate.
Mm.
And I would challenge you to really assess. I mean, I understand you justified it.
Yeah, yeah.
You created your means to fulfill your curiosity in
Mm-hmm.
him. However, I would highly encourage you to really assess the value and the impact that it puts on your perspective of the world.
Mm.
I am completely detested by people like him that promote themselves as coaches because it scares other people away from people like myself.
Mm.
Like, I'm not going to tell you that you're a piece of shit because you didn't show up. I'm going to ask you, like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Like, are you all right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, one of the things that I teach in the leadership part and like the way we lead as managers or whatnot, it's when I have an associate or someone that's come up to me and we have a problem and they're not doing necessarily the right thing, and I know they're not doing the right thing, I do not go up and be like, you're doing this, this, and this, and this, because that gives them the opportunity at that moment to say that I'm being victimized and you're my attacker. And that puts up the wall, then they don't have to listen, and we go through all that bullshit.
Yeah.
The thing that I do and the thing that I coach on is you go up to them and you ask them, hey, are you all right?
Mm.
I'm going to show you empathy. I'm going to show you compassion.
Yeah.
Is something going on right now that I need to know about that I could potentially help you so we can get through this day together?
I love it.
And then all of a sudden their guard goes down and they may bite back, be like, "Bah, bah, 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 bah." Okay, what did I just ask you?
Mm.
Ask you if you're okay, and I want to know if there's something going on that I can help you with right now for you.
Mm.
Huh. I can't attack him. He's caring about me. Shit. I have to be accountable for myself. And then we can get down to the brass tacks is that, hey, you're not following the method. You're not performing the task that I need you to. We talked about this, but then they have to hold ownership to it.
Mm.
So that's what coaching actually is. It's allowing them to, one, be accountable and hold ownership, but also two, for them to see us as the opportunity of an example of how we can be.
Yeah. 100%.
Maybe after this, I'll show you a video of something that I did just here recently at a place.
Yeah. I love that.
I had 200 ladies saying good morning and a few other things, and like 15 of them speak English.
Mm.
Like it's pretty impactful. And then I taught a lesson about the balloon.
Mm.
The balloon and how it's like us. And I had them playing with this balloon, and most of these ladies haven't played with a balloon. And like the balloon hit the ground, and I'm like, what is this? And I was like, popped it back up, and then they started hitting it, and they started having fun. They got engaged, and then we did the lesson on the balloon, and then they're like, I was like, this balloon is like us. It's stretchy. You can do stuff with it.
Mm.
Now, if we want to get the full effect of the balloon and what it's purposeful for, we have to put effort into it.
Mm.
I blow it into the balloon, expanded.
Mm.
I was like, that's once. but it still can go more. Blow it bigger and bigger. And I was like, this is the balloon. This is great. You got to play with something just like this. You guys had fun, right? Yeah. All right. I'm blowing it and I let loose of it and it goes, and they laughed. Ah, and I was like, our life is like that. Sometimes we lose the balloon. We let loose of it. And even though all of that effort we put into it, it blew off and it got away from us. And fortunately enough, we can find it again. And we can pick that balloon up and we can blow effort. We can blow life back into it. And we can have this moment of understanding that our life is very similar to this balloon. Now, when we get it to a spot that we're happy and we're proud of, we have to take care of it. Because you can tie that off and it can be popped. And then what happens to your life? That's when we give up on it. That's when we forget that who we are and what we were here to do and the joy and fun that we can bring to others.
Yes.
But it's the amount of effort that we put into ourselves and blowing the balloon up and lifting ourselves up. And if we got enough helium in there or we got enough hot air and we're willing to go out there and we can lift everybody else up in that moment.
Yeah. I love that. And I feel like the bigger the balloon or the brighter your light, the more that you can then be the light in the world.
Absolutely.
That you are.
Well, and think about this. What can mini balloons do? One balloon may not be able to pick up, but mini balloons, we can pick up a lot. We can do a lot with a lot of balloons. A lot of people are putting effort into themselves and we're coming together and we're bringing all of our strings into one spot. We can lift up the world. We can make movement on the world. But we all have to put effort in. We all have to try. We all have to have a common goal, and that goal can be the lifting up of other people in a productive way that doesn't have to be like the people that are being promoted to us because it's a spectacle.
Yeah.
Because we feel better when someone else is being pushed down below us because that makes us feel like we're being lifted up. And that's the removal of personal accountability. And that's where the algorithm sets in. And
It's very interesting.
we can choose to be different. We can choose to look at the Wes Watsons of the world as an example of what not to be.
Exactly.
And I don't want to sit here and just badmouth Wes Watson because he's a man that has a lot of opportunity, a lot of potential, and I understand that he uses the algorithm in a way that benefits him.
Yeah.
And I know that, I mean, I don't know the dude, but I've seen the guy, I've seen the way he acts, I've seen him belittle people on stage and stuff like that. And it breaks my heart to see that a man in this world that has kids, that has people that look up to him, is willing to be that way.
Yeah. No, 100%, man. I love that. I love that. And yeah, I definitely don't condone his practices or the way that he navigates. To your point at the beginning of the episode, we talked about corporation and the executives. And so I meet with every single one of my staff members once a month. And we do a Monday motivation every single Monday. And then we do a prayer after that. And it's all about lifting them up and really understanding like who are they and what they are about and how we can help them. I'm basically the motivational spiritual practice person in the organization. We're all finding our roles. And yeah, okay, cool, CEO, but it's not about that. And they're so, because in the Philippines, they're like, what? Like, you're going to meet me? You're going to ask me questions? It's like, I'm no different than you.
Right.
I just made the decisions to do what I did to be where I'm at. And now you're here with me and let's all lift off together.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
And then they have an opportunity to see a world that they've not necessarily grown up in.
Oh my God.
And imagine how impactful that is. I mean, I know how impactful it was for me to come from a little tiny town that I never thought I would do anything other than be a manager at either the packing plant or at Walmart. And I was the manager at both. And I was robbed of my own dignity because I created a limitation for myself.
And now you're here.
Absolutely. And we have the opportunity to send our message, to work together. And after this, I'm going to make some proposals to you because I really connect with you. And I think that maybe that we can do some stuff together to be a part of that balloon that lifts up the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I feel like life happens for you and for a reason. And I'm getting to the point in my life where it's like, you could say life happens to you, for you, or through you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting to the point of the through you. And I'm just along for the ride, man. I'm really just enjoying this amazing opportunity. And just like the last guest that we had, I told you about, like he offered the opportunity of me being able to potentially get on a panel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, timing was not right. So, and there's some financial responsibility there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, we'll see you at the next one.
So I got one for you.
Mm,
And to go along with the to you, through you, for you,
mm,
I would also add one on there with you.
mm.
Because this is what it is about. It's about us coming together so we can do things together
Amen.
with each other.
Amen.
You know, think about like the 500, the Spartans, right?
Mm,
One of them was pretty powerful, right?
mm.
But all 500 of them locked together, shields ready. They were pretty unstoppable for a long time
They were.
until one of them got corrupted.
Mm.
Then it was over. So if we can come together and we can do these things and have a goal set for each other, we can be unstoppable too.
And that's what it takes. Just if you're listening to this and it resonates, is just share this with one person.
Absolutely.
If one person shares it and the next person shares it and the next person shares it, then we could help more people that resonate in this same type of frequency, if you will.
And reach out.
Mm-hmm.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah.
And this is the story that I was going to go to. So how I met that client that changed my life, Tab Pierce, he runs Networked Live.
Mm-hmm.
And I had worked all day long. And there was a networking event that was kind of close to us. And I was like, we need to go to this. She's like, aren't you tired? I was like, yeah, I'm tired. I've worked all day. Haven't really eaten. I was like, but like Andy said, I got to do more. And if this is who I want to be, and at that point, I wanted to be a personal trainer. I wanted to be an image consultant. I wanted to help guys with their image and the way they dress and the way
Yeah.
they took care of themselves,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. I was like, I'm going to have to go to this event. I'm going to have to do the things that that person does, even if I don't like it.
Mm.
And we went, and I met Tab Pierce.
Mm.
And Tab said, wow, it's pretty cool that you're doing that. And he's kind of standoffish a little bit. And eventually I'd be happy to introduce you to him. He's a cybersecurity guy. He runs a cybersecurity company, very successful. He's got a really crazy story. He's an amazing man. He's done a lot for me.
Wow.
And but anyways, he told me that he had this conference, and he's like, my brain, it works great. My brain is so developed and so powerful, but my body doesn't match that. My image doesn't match that, and I'm not in congruency. I don't match what I'm telling other people, and I think it's discrediting me. And I was like, I couldn't agree more.
Wow.
Because he was overweight.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. Like, and he's very charismatic, but he's discrediting himself by the way he presents himself and the way he takes care of himself. So he's like, I got 3 months. I got 3 months to get my act together.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, that's perfect because my plan is 3 months.
There you go.
And he's like, whoa, I think this was meant to be. And I was like, I think it was. Let's set up a meeting and we'll go over all the details and see if this fits you. He's like, okay. And we do that. And my wife is really good at sales. I'm not. I'm that super like caring, loving dude that's just like, I just want to help you. I don't care if you pay me. She's like, dude, we got bills to pay, bro.
She's like, wait.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an Eagle Scout. I learned on do a good turn daily and like, take care. Both of my grandmothers were nurses. Like, it's always been this thing of like taking care of the community. Well, that doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So she's the salesperson that keeps me in check, the money thing, all whatever, right? So we're doing this like sales thing with Tab, and she's like leading the way, and I'm just like talking about what it could be like. I'm like, yeah, you could be on stage and be dancing, and like people would like you, and they would love you. And she's like, but what would that look like if you don't do it? And like we learned to play very well off of each other.
I love that.
And see, she's already telling me right now. Hurry up with the story. And so he buys into us and we get on stage. And, or before that, actually, I tell him, like, dude, I want to be on stage. I want to tell this story and I want to help other people. And he's like, okay, let's see how this works. And I train him. He gets there. We change his clothes. He gets known for like having these cool shirts. I start putting him in Robert Graham shirts.
Okay.
And people just love it. And he's like super charismatic and it starts matching him and he sees the power of it. Well, he's like, hey, do you want to get on stage and introduce me? And I was like, dude, I could do that? I was like, I don't think I could do that. Limiting belief. And he's like, dude, I can do the leg lifty thing now. You can introduce me.
Let's go.
And absolutely, let's go. And that's what happened. And I became in love with speaking on stage.
Dude, congratulations, man.
And then I got a podcast and I trained the guy at the podcast studio. That dude's lost a whole bunch of weight. He's on his own now, doing his own thing. His business is starting to do better.
Love it.
And now I speak on stage, but it never would have happened. I never would have wrote the book. I never would have been on stage. I never would have had the podcast studio. I never would have had this relationship with you that I have right now if I would not have shown up to that networking event when I was tired, when I didn't feel good.
Let's go. You hear this? You hear this?
But I had to figure out who I wanted to be and what it would take. I had to do exactly what you just told them that they could do in their life. So I would question the people out there, like, what is it you want to do? Who do you want to be remembered as? What does that look like? And if you need help identifying that, there's a book on Amazon that I know that will help you figure it out. I mean, shameless plug right now. Your Body, Your Choice, Your Legacy on Amazon.
Links below.
It's the same price as going to McDonald's and eating something that would cause more harm to you than buying that book.
Wow. Let's go.
$20. Like, come on.
I love that.
So, yeah, I mean, like, dude, like, anything that we have in our life is a sheer possibility if we're willing to put in the effort, have the intention, and put ourselves in a vulnerable moment so we can make relationships like this. Like, nobody built shit by themselves.
And that's why you're here right now.
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.